Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Maya.
And I'm Ethan. It's wonderful to have you with us today. Whether you're listening while driving, cooking, walking, or simply relaxing, thank you for spending some time with us.
Today, I want to start with a simple question. Have you ever had one of those mornings where everything seemed to go wrong? Maybe you woke up late, skipped breakfast, couldn't find your keys, rushed out the door, and somehow the rest of the day felt off.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like one small moment starts a chain reaction. You spill your coffee, you miss a meeting, someone says something that normally wouldn't bother you, and suddenly you're thinking, why is today so difficult?
Exactly. And what's interesting is that we often blame the whole day, when in reality, it may have started with the first 20 or 30 minutes after waking up.
That's today's topic: why your morning routine shapes your entire day.
Now, before anyone listening starts thinking, oh no, they're going to tell me I need to wake up at 5 in the morning, don't worry, that's not where this conversation is going.
I'm glad you said that. There's this idea online that successful people all wake up before sunrise, run 10 miles, meditate for an hour, read 3 books, and somehow still have time to make a perfect breakfast.
And don't forget the perfectly made bed and the beautifully organized kitchen.
Exactly. It sounds impressive, but for most people, it isn't realistic.
I think that's important. A healthy morning routine isn't about copying someone else's life. It's about creating a beginning to your day that works for you.
That's a great point. Psychology tells us something interesting here. Our brains love patterns. When we repeat certain actions every morning, those actions become signals. They tell our brain the day has started. Here's how we're going to approach it.
Almost like pressing the play button on your favorite playlist? That's a nice way to put it. I've noticed something about myself. On mornings when I wake up and immediately grab my phone, I somehow lose track of time. I tell myself I'm just checking one message.
Which somehow turns into 20 minutes.
Every single time. Then I see emails, headlines, social media posts, maybe someone else's vacation photos, and before I've even gotten out of bed, my mind is already full.
I think many listeners can relate to that.
Can you?
Absolutely. I used to begin almost every morning that way. My eyes weren't fully open, but somehow I was already reading work messages. It felt productive, but honestly, it wasn't.
Why do you think that is?
Because my attention was being controlled by everyone else. Before I'd ask myself, how do I feel today? Someone else was already asking me to solve a problem.
That's such an interesting observation.
Think about it. The first voice you hear every morning shouldn't always belong to your inbox.
Wow, I like that sentence.
It's true, though. The first few minutes after waking up are surprisingly influential. Your brain is gradually becoming alert. Whatever you feed it first often sets the emotional tone.
That reminds me of something my grandmother used to say. She wasn't talking about psychology. She simply said, don't invite the whole world into your house before you've said good morning to yourself.
That's beautiful.
At the time, I thought she was only talking about visitors. Years later, I realized she could have been talking about smartphones.
Sometimes older generations understand human nature better than we think.
They really do.
Let me share a small story.
Please.
A friend of mine recently changed only one habit. Nothing dramatic. He didn't wake up earlier. He didn't buy expensive productivity books. Every morning, he simply sat near his window with a cup of tea for 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes?
That's all.
What happened?
At first, nothing remarkable. But after a few weeks, he noticed he felt calmer. He wasn't rushing into work feeling anxious. He said those 5 quiet minutes became a bridge between sleeping and working.
I love that image. A bridge.
Me too. We often think routines have to be complicated to matter, but sometimes the smallest habits have the biggest impact because we actually stick with them.
That's an expression our listeners might hear often. Stick with.
Good point.
If you stick with something, it means you continue doing it consistently, even when it's difficult.
Exactly. Imagine someone starts walking for 10 minutes every morning. One day isn't life-changing, but sticking with that habit for 6 months? That's a completely different story.
Consistency really is powerful.
More powerful than intensity in many cases.
That's interesting because people often chase motivation.
Yes, but motivation comes and goes. Habits stay.
Can I ask you something?
Of course.
Why do mornings feel emotionally different from evenings? Have you noticed that a problem which seems huge at 11 at night sometimes feels much smaller after a good night's sleep?
That's actually supported by psychology. Sleep helps organize memories and regulate emotions. When we wake up, our brain often has a little more mental space. But if we immediately fill that space with stress, we lose that advantage.
It's almost like opening a clean notebook.
Exactly.
You wouldn't normally grab a pen and scribble all over a brand new notebook before writing something meaningful. Yet that's exactly what many of us do mentally every morning. That's such a vivid picture.
Here's another thought experiment for everyone listening.
I love these.
Imagine there are two versions of you.
Okay.
Both wake up at exactly the same time.
Same house, same job, same responsibilities.
Exactly. The first person jumps out of bed feeling rushed, checks 15 notifications, skips breakfast, complains about being tired, and races through the morning.
And the second?
The second person also has a busy day ahead. But before touching the phone, they drink a glass of water, stretch for a minute, open the curtains, take a deep breath, and quietly think about one thing they're grateful for.
Neither person changed their schedule.
Right. They only changed the first few minutes.
Which person do you think is more likely to stay patient when something unexpected happens later?
That's the interesting question.
We'd love everyone listening to think about that for a moment.
You don't have to answer out loud. Just picture your own mornings.
Maybe you're smiling because your mornings already feel peaceful.
Or maybe you're realizing they've become automatic, almost like you're running on autopilot.
And if that's the case, don't judge yourself.
Exactly. This isn't about guilt. It's about awareness.
Awareness is always the first step toward change.
And sometimes the smallest awareness leads to the biggest transformation. You know, there's another idea that completely changed the way I think about mornings.
I'm curious. What was it?
Someone once told me, your morning isn't just the beginning of your day. It's the beginning of your decisions.
I like that. What do they mean by that?
Well, think about it. From the moment you wake up, you're making choices. Do you hit the snooze button or get up? Do you drink water or another cup of coffee? Do you spend 10 minutes preparing for the day or scroll through social media? Each choice might seem tiny on its own, but together they create momentum.
Momentum is such an interesting word.
It really is. It's often used to describe movement that keeps going. In life, momentum means once you're moving in a positive direction, it's easier to keep going.
Like pushing a bicycle. The first few seconds take effort, but once it's moving, riding becomes much easier.
That's the perfect example.
And I suppose the opposite is true too. If your morning starts with stress, distraction, or rushing, that kind of momentum follows you as well.
Exactly. It's not impossible to turn the day around, but it takes more energy.
That reminds me of a morning a few months ago. I had planned everything. I woke up on time, made breakfast, and even had time to water my plants. Then, just as I was about to leave, I realized I'd forgotten an important document.
Oh no!
I know. I had to rush back upstairs, print it, and suddenly I was running late. In the past, that would have ruined my mood for hours.
But something changed?
Yes. Instead of telling myself, this whole day is a disaster, I stopped for a moment and thought, it's just one stressful moment. It doesn't have to become a stressful day.
That's a really powerful shift.
It surprised me, honestly. My situation didn't change, but the story I was telling myself did.
That's something psychologists talk about a lot. We don't only react to events, we react to the meaning we give those events.
So two people can experience exactly the same morning?
And interpret it completely differently.
One person says, everything is going wrong.
And the other says, well, that was inconvenient, but I'll move on.
Same event, different mindset.
Exactly.
I've noticed that language plays a role here too.
How so?
Sometimes we use very dramatic words without realizing it. We say things like, this day is ruined, or everything is falling apart.
Even though maybe only one thing went wrong.
Right.
That's actually a useful English expression for our listeners. Make a mountain out of a molehill.
I love that idiom.
It's a funny image, isn't it?
It really is.
A molehill is a tiny pile of dirt made by a mole. A mountain is, well, enormous. So if you make a mountain out of a molehill, you treat a small problem as if it's a huge one.
I think we've all done that at some point.
Definitely. Especially before we've had breakfast.
That's true. Everything feels more dramatic when you're hungry.
Or tired.
Or both.
Exactly.
Can I share another story?
Please do.
A friend of mine became a new parent last year. Before having a baby, she loved those quiet, peaceful mornings we always hear about. She'd meditate, read a few pages of a book, and enjoy her coffee while it was still hot.
That sounds lovely.
Then her baby arrived.
Which changed everything.
Completely. Suddenly, her mornings were full of crying, feeding, cleaning, and trying to remember whether she'd brushed her own teeth.
I imagine a lot of parents listening are smiling right now.
Probably. She told me she felt guilty because she couldn't keep up with the morning routine she'd built before.
That's understandable.
But then she said something I'll never forget. She realized her routine didn't need to look perfect. It only needed to support the life she was living now.
That's such an important lesson.
Instead of expecting an hour of quiet time, she focused on one simple habit. Every morning, while holding her baby, she'd look out the window and take 3 slow breaths.
3 breaths.
That's it.
Sometimes we underestimate how meaningful something so simple can be.
Exactly. She wasn't trying to create the perfect morning anymore. She was creating a realistic one.
I think that's something we don't hear enough. Social media often shows us polished routines, but real life is messy.
Very messy.
There are mornings when your alarm doesn't go off.
Or your child wakes up at 5 in the morning.
Or the weather is terrible.
Or you simply don't feel your best.
And that's okay.
Maybe the goal isn't to control every morning.
Maybe the goal is to respond with a little more kindness when mornings don't go according to plan.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
You know, another thing I've been thinking about is how our environment influences us.
Absolutely.
There are mornings when I wake up to a room that's cluttered. Clothes on the chair, books on the floor, dishes in the sink.
And somehow it feels like your brain notices all of it.
Exactly. Even if I don't consciously think about it, I feel a little overwhelmed.
There's actually research suggesting that our surroundings affect our attention and stress levels. A messy environment isn't automatically bad, but it can quietly demand mental energy.
Which explains why spending just 5 minutes tidying my desk sometimes makes me feel calmer.
It's less about cleaning and more about reducing mental noise.
Mental noise. That's a wonderful phrase.
Think of it this way. Imagine trying to have an important conversation in a room where 10 people are all talking at once.
You'd struggle to focus.
Exactly. Clutter can sometimes create that same feeling inside your mind.
So a simple morning habit, like making your bed or clearing your desk, isn't really about the bed or the desk.
It's about creating a space that helps your mind settle.
I'd love to pause for a moment and invite everyone listening to reflect.
Go ahead.
Think back to this morning, not last week, not your ideal morning, just today.
What was the very first thing you did after waking up?
How did that make you feel?
Did it give you energy?
Did it leave you feeling rushed?
Or maybe you never really noticed before.
And that's perfectly okay. Sometimes change begins with simply paying attention.
You don't need to redesign your entire life overnight.
In fact, I'd probably recommend the opposite.
I agree. Lasting habits usually grow from small, repeatable actions, not dramatic transformations.
Because tiny changes are easier to stick with.
And over time, those tiny changes quietly become part of who you are.
You know what I find fascinating? We often think our habits create our identity, but sometimes it works the other way around.
That's an interesting thought. Tell me more.
Well, imagine someone who wants to become healthier. They might say, I need to exercise every morning. That's a habit. But if they start thinking, I'm becoming someone who takes care of my health, that's an identity.
I like that distinction. One focuses on what you do, the other focuses on who you're becoming.
Exactly. And somehow that feels more encouraging.
It does, because there will always be mornings when life gets in the way. You oversleep, you have an early meeting, you catch a cold. If your identity depends on being perfect every day, you'll probably feel like you failed.
But if your identity is, I'm someone who values my well-being, then one imperfect morning doesn't erase that.
Right. It's just one page in a much bigger story.
That's a comforting way to think about it.
It reminds me of something a teacher once told me. He said, never judge a book by a single sentence.
I've never heard that version before.
Neither had I. We usually hear, don't judge a book by its cover. But he meant something different. He meant that one bad day, or one bad morning, doesn't define your whole life.
That's such a hopeful perspective.
I think we all need that reminder sometimes.
Especially when we're trying to build new habits.
Absolutely.
I think another challenge is comparison.
Oh, definitely.
You watch someone's morning routine online and everything looks perfect. The sunlight comes through the window at exactly the right angle. Their coffee looks like it belongs in a magazine. Their journal is perfectly organized.
And somehow they never seem to be searching for their keys.
Or running back into the house because they forgot their wallet.
Exactly.
It's easy to forget we're seeing a highlight reel, not everyday reality.
That's a phrase worth remembering. Highlight reel.
Yes, in sports, a highlight reel shows the best moments. In everyday English, we use it to describe the best parts people choose to share.
Which means you're comparing your ordinary Tuesday morning to someone else's carefully edited 5-minute video.
That's hardly a fair comparison.
Not at all.
I sometimes wonder what would happen if we spent less time trying to copy other people's routines and more time asking ourselves one simple question.
Which is?
What kind of morning helps me feel like my best self?
I love that question because the answer is different for everyone.
Exactly.
For one person, it's exercising.
For someone else, it's reading.
Another person might enjoy writing in a journal.
Or sitting quietly with a cup of coffee before the rest of the house wakes up.
The goal isn't to have identical routines.
It's to have intentional routines.
That's a wonderful word, intentional.
Yes. If something is intentional, it means you do it on purpose rather than by accident.
And I think that's really what today's conversation has been about.
Living with intention instead of simply reacting to whatever happens first.
Exactly.
Before we finish, I'd like to share one final image.
I'd love to hear it.
Imagine every morning is like planting a seed.
Go on.
You don't see a tree by lunchtime.
Definitely not.
You don't even notice much after a week. But if you plant a healthy seed every morning, whether that's taking a walk, drinking water, reading for 5 minutes, or simply breathing deeply, you slowly grow something stronger than motivation. You grow a way of living.
That's beautifully said.
Thank you.
And I think that's the heart of today's message. Your morning routine isn't about creating a perfect schedule. It's about creating a better relationship with yourself.
A relationship built on patience rather than pressure.
Progress rather than perfection.
Curiosity rather than criticism.
Because every sunrise gives us another opportunity to begin again.
Even if yesterday wasn't your best day,
Even if this morning didn't go exactly as planned.
there's always another chance to make one small choice that moves you in the direction you want to go.
And sometimes that one small choice becomes the beginning of a much bigger change.
We hope today's conversation encouraged you to think a little differently about your mornings, not as something to rush through, but as a quiet opportunity to set the tone for the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. Whether you're listening in the morning, the afternoon, or late at night, we truly appreciate you being part of our community.
And before we say goodbye, we'd love to hear from you.
What's one small morning habit that has made a positive difference in your life? Or what's one habit you'd like to start tomorrow?
Share your thoughts in the comments. We always enjoy reading your stories, and your experience might inspire someone else who's listening today. Until next time, take care of yourself, be patient with your progress, and remember that meaningful change rarely begins with one giant leap. It usually begins with one small choice, made one ordinary morning. See you in the next episode.